Thanks for this opportunity, actually. So this is the project that we started with, and Art Home London is kind of a way to monetize the community that we created here. So we started it about 2 years ago, and basically it's a sort of a social network where artists can log in and submit their pieces of art, and then get reviewed by other artists. And all the process is done anonymously, and we have an algorithm that makes sure that the reviews are fair and that your friend is not in the pool of the reviewers. So how it works is the following. So if you just came to the website, you see many different types of art pieces, and you see the artists, then you see the endorsed by, and you see other users who wrote reviews and feedback on these pieces. And this goes kind of infinitely down. You can open any of the works, and then you'll see it full screen, hopefully, and you'll be able to see the reviews. That's me. I'm also I'm writing reviews. Yes, so this you kind of see it full screen, so you can see it in details, or you can zoom out, of course, and see it kind of like that as well. And then you see the description of the art pieces, and then feedback. So while you see endorsed by, you see all the curators, as we call them, who wrote positive reviews, who think this piece should be published publicly. But reviews, you see all the reviews, positive and negative, and you can notice that some of them has titles, some of them don't, and I'll talk about this in a second. So anyone can log in. I'll just use my Facebook account to log in or create an account. And once you log in, you basically have two things. You can do two things. Number one, you can upload a painting. So you click upload here, and it's quite straightforward. You just select the painting that you want to upload, and I don't know. Let's say this one. It's not mine, unfortunately, but that's fine. So you upload a painting. You write about a description. You write title, you write description, you select a category, what is it? Let's say that's art, that's drawing, I don't know, doesn't matter. Select all, for example. And yes, and you can put tags if you want, and then you submit. So as soon as you submit it, this painting is now sent to a panel of artists whom you don't know, and you cannot select who exactly will be in this panel. There's algorithm behind this who selects the panels. You can also go and review yourself. Even if you just logged in, you can become a curator. So you click on the curate button, you see a painting or an artwork, you read description, you write a review, and you put what you feel about this. When you click submit, the next one will come. Now, because I just joined the platform and no one knows whether I'm a good curator or not, the weight of my voice is very small. So while I will affect the overall decision whether to publish it or not, yes, I will, but it's not too much. For me to be able to have a stronger vote in the curatorial decision, I'll have to do a lot of reviewing and do a very good job. Now, if we attract a professional, for example, a professor of art, then we can give that person straight away higher rating, and then compare others to what he's saying. So that's kind of in a nutshell what we do. The value here for artists is that you'll get a feedback, you get honest feedback from other artists, from other curators around you, and if your work is good enough, it will be published in an environment which is not full of rubbish, because only the really good stuff is getting published. So if you try to publish there a picture of your lunch or something like that, it's not going to publish, so it's not going to be polluted. That's in a nutshell the proposition. The reason why we started Art Home London is because we didn't figure out how to monetize it, and we thought about inviting professional curators who will write more detailed and kind of in-depth review of portfolios and then charging for that. But then we figure out that, okay, artists, actually, they're poor, so they're not really up to paying several hundreds of any amount to get their works professionally reviewed. So that's about it. If you can help me figure out how to monetize this will be super useful. If you have any comments about user experience, always welcome. Or comments about the concept as well.
Fantastic. Thanks. Thank you, David. So, who's going to start us off? Oh, rubbish, come on. Thank you, gentlemen. I need to learn your name. What's your name, sir?
Oops.
It's Az.
Thanks, Az.
Thanks for calling me a gentleman. It's very kindest thing I've heard in a while. And in terms of kind, so I went to art school, I was a painter, and I hated crit. I mean, I was really nervous. And it's a really lovely thing. It's a great way to get feedback. How do you have enough volume? How do you deal with trolls, that sort of thing?
How what, sorry?
Deal with trolls, randomly negative comments for no positive reason.
So because there isn't really a reason for a troll to be there, it's anonymous. I mean, if the troll trolls, then his vote will never go up. So his overall power in decision whether to publish something or not will not go up. Yeah. And then if it's abusive comment, the artist can flag it, and then we'll just figure out it manually at some point.
Thank you. Anyone else? Is everyone getting tired? They need some caffeine. Cup of tea. Very English.
What does the artist do with the criticism? To say there's some balanced criticism, some positive, some negative. What does the artist change their style? Not try and push these paintings? What's the next step from the artist's perspective?
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, because artists are quite sensitive about their work, that's why we did the entire thing anonymous. So let's say if you submitted something and then you got a lot of criticism and your work is not published, you feel comfortable, secured, because you did it anonymously, and also people who wrote your comment also anonymous. So there is no this kind of sensitive thing. We avoided it because, being criticized for artists is something on a totally different level than from non-artists. What we find is that a lot of times criticism is not so much about the painting, but about the story behind it. Modern art or contemporary art is all about the whole story. So the artist need to be able to articulate the story well. So a lot of comments, oh, it's interesting, but if you were to write a description better, this would make sense. For now, I'm just lost. So please rewrite the description. And then we see the artist come back with the same painting, but with different description, things like that. Or sometimes we see that, okay, it's too much color, the color mix doesn't make sense, or composition doesn't make sense. So just useful comments.
Fantastic. Anyone else?
Just quickly, any sort of similar things I've seen where it's artists online showing their work, where it's curated, it just takes it out of context, because a lot of things you're seeing are paintings. And again, going back to the last product, you're not seeing it in that context. You're seeing it in your house. So at least you kind of got an idea of that. I haven't had a quick look at the site yet, but how does that even work? Because I mean, a lot of artists is very much site specific, or in the context of seeing it online on a screen, and your people are criticizing it in that sense without seeing it as an actual piece of art, as the way it's meant to be. I don't know how you get around that issue.
To be honest, I didn't completely understand what you mean.
I mean, so I'm seeing a few paintings there.
Yeah.
On screen, and is that the way that artist is meant to represent it when they were painting it? They weren't meant to be viewed on a laptop, 12-inch laptop, to view like that, and then have an art critic view it that way and criticize it that way. They were probably viewed to be seen, hung up on a wall, and then considered in that sense, or maybe even somebody's house, maybe in a completely different setting. How does that?
I mean, there's not much we can do. It's digital thing. We have done several exhibitions using the platform where we did a call for artists, and artists anyone could submit, and then they reviewed or curated each other. So basically, for a painting to be selected for the real life exhibition, it needs to get positive reviews from other artists. So self-curated exhibition. We've done this several times. We were quite successful, but it's not kind of scalable thing, of course, unless we give the power to curators to do this.
So I think that would be a good feature where it's actually you're creating an exhibition at the back of that.
Yeah.
Because there's that whole there's that whole world of it around it, which is kind of not being fulfilled for the viewer.
Yeah. That's.
Any more for any more? No. In which case, can we have a really big round of applause the second time for David?
Thank you very much.